All right, what's up, Facebook group? I saw Alexander had a client call or a prospective client call the other day, and I made a video and I tried to get it out first thing in the morning for him. I got it done, and my internet just was not uploading it. So hopefully you did well. I assume that you closed the call and you're off to the races and you got that client. But I wanted to answer the question anyways because honestly, this is one of the most intimidating parts of the process is talking to a decision maker, especially when you're first getting started. And I remember in one of my sales roles, I was working at a software company, and it was enterprise software, which means I was talking to real decision makers at Disney and Expedia and just the Southwest Airlines, all these large companies and director level, director of marketing, VP of sales, those type of people. And it's important to understand that this sales call has got to be a lot more consultative than really the shit that you're seeing out there on the internet. All of these gurus are talking about pushing through objections and really being aggressive and energetic. And a lot of those tactics, in sales, there's a lot that can be useful, but when you're talking to a CMO or a CTO, it's really more consultative, and it's not like you're selling insurance. It's not like you're selling magazines to just somebody and it's very transactional. It's only $50, so you got to really push through that call. It's never going to be like that because these people are way too smart. Even the HR directors or senior recruiters that you might end up talking to, they're smart. They know what you're offering. There's plenty of people that they've talked to in the past that are offering the same thing as you. So there's really key things that you need to touch on this phone call, and you need to structure your phone call into 6 parts, or this is at least how I do it. And when I was at the software company, I just remember this younger kid coming in there. I think I was like 26, 27. I was still really young at the time. I still am young. But he was fresh out of college, and he was hopping into this sales role. And he was somebody that was definitely trying to just prove himself. He was super hungry to just be successful, and he was just projecting himself a little bit too much, and it was something that I just noticed right away. He was talking about things like he was an expert in it, and he was trying to answer questions that he really didn't have an in-depth answer to. He didn't really have the experience yet, and it made me think about myself. It's something that everybody does, and it's like a lot of people think that they're fooling decision makers, and you might have a little success, but there's better approaches than projecting yourself with something that you're just not. It's better to be authentic, and if you don't know an answer, a lot of people think it's better to BS, but it's a lot better to say something like, I'm going to be completely transparent with you. I'm not sure on that front. I will find out immediately after this call, and I'll send you an email, and then ask a question about something else that pushes the phone call in the direction that you want it to. But that's one thing. Just be authentic. It's better to err on that side than project yourself, because that's like an immediate turnoff for decision makers. I know when I'm on the phone now, I hear versions of my younger self, and it's just like you hear somebody doing that projection, and something just clicks. You're like, I can't trust this person because they're not being completely honest with me. That's the biggest thing, is just being truthful and being honest as much as you can, and being prepared is also going to help you. Having some of those answers ready. And we'll cover some of these things here, but we'll go through these stages. So stage 1 is when the phone call starts. And by the way, props for getting this phone call in the first place. This is the hardest thing, is to get somebody on the calendar in the first place. So great job there. Hopefully you close the client. But stage 1, I'll jump in, and I don't make small talk, but I try to think of something that I saw on their LinkedIn profile, or something I think that they're interested in, maybe see something on their Twitter that I know is going to create a connection. So if they're from Cleveland and they like the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'll bring something up about the basketball team or the city, or I'll throw something out there. And if they take the bait and have like kind of a friendly back and forth, I'll stretch it out for like 3 or 4 minutes, but I don't want them to think that it's going to be just a chatter fest every time they get on the phone in the future too. I think it's important for them to know that we're going to get down to business, but in that first 3 minutes, I want them to have a reason to remember me. And when you bring up things like their city that they're living in, or if they had volunteer experience, that really means a lot. Like maybe they worked at a dog shelter or something like that. I always try to find things that I'm genuinely like I admire them for it, or I just find interesting. So it's a natural conversation. That's how you get remembered. A lot of people just jump into the call, and it's like they jump into the business, they go into their spiel, and it's just they're easily forgettable because that's what everybody really does. Stage 2, I'm going to set expectations right after we get into that. So after our back and forth, I'll quickly say, hey, I really appreciate you hopping on a call. I understand how busy you are, so I'm going to keep this call really brief. This is normally very, very quick. I just want to understand what your ideal candidates look like so we can figure out exactly how to make sure that we are going to do the best for you. And I use the word you a lot because I want to project that I'm here for them. This is not a phone call for me to dive into how awesome I am or what my services are. I'm here to understand what your biggest problems are, and then I'm here to follow up and perform for you. And next, stage 3, and this is where you can really show your preparation. I want to lay out a leading question that really walks them into their own pain point. So I'm going to say something along the lines of, and I think Alexander said something about, telecom, and there's 4 roles or something like that. So this is a good client if you can close them. But I'll do research, and as you get going into your niche, this is going to get easier and easier the more times you have these calls, and you're going to be more confident. But in this one, I'm going to say, I did a lot of research on field service technicians, especially in your area, and this is what I'm seeing. And a lot of clients and a lot of companies around you and in your space are saying this about field service technicians, like there's a shortage of them and they're having a hard time filling up their pipeline. But what do you think, as I'm speaking to the client, what is the biggest problem for you with finding these field service technicians? Where are you going wrong? Is it top of the funnel? Is it hard to close them during the interview process because they're asking for too much money? What do you see right now? That shows them that you understand and you're keeping their problems in mind, and you want to dig a little bit deeper, and you want to really show them that you've done your preparation. This is the space that you're in. This is the space that you're going to continue to become an expert in. And it really sets the tone in saying that, hey, this train is off and rolling right now. It's up to you to come and jump in. Like, I'm already starting this work, and I just need a couple things from you to send this over the edge. So try to get them talking. And this is where you do a lot of listening too. Do not underestimate what listening can do and letting them talk. This is not the moment for you to go on a rampage about what your plans are and how you do things. Ask questions that hammer on those pain points, that hammer on exactly what they're looking for. Get to know them a little bit and do listening in this section of the call. Next is, this I kind of went over this, is I'll say, where in your hiring process have you really been missing the mark? So stage 3 is kind of asking a leading question about, maybe the candidate or maybe something about the market. And then 4 is usually about their process. So if they have an in-house recruiting team, and this is very common, the in-house recruiting team just sucks, and you want to ask a question that says something like, are you just not getting the volume? Is your in-house team just kind of using job boards and you're just getting a bunch of bad candidates and it's just eating up your time? Like, where can I fix this problem the most for you? And you want to get them, again, talking about how bad things are going, because we're moving in this direction where we're going to champion ourselves at the end of this call or coming up here in the next stage. And we want them to just keep remembering how bad things are. And this is the reason why they're on this phone call. So stage 5, again, we're gonna ask them. So, with all these things in mind, I think I have a really good understanding in how I'm going to approach this and how I'm going to get better candidates in your pipeline. But every employer is a little bit different. Some hire for culture, for skills. What does your ideal candidate really look like? What will not look like? What does their resume look like from a bullet standpoint? And have them really talk about that ideal candidate and be taking notes this entire time. While they're talking, it's your job to take notes. It's kind of hard at the beginning when you're first getting started to take notes while you're listening. But get that profile, really understand it. And then stage 6, this is where you can do your talking, or I would do my talking. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat a lot of the things that they said in stage 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to talk about the candidate profile. I'm going to hammer on those pain points again. And that's going to show them that I do a lot of listening. You don't have to tell me things twice. And also, I do the research on my own. And all those bases are covered. And it's very satisfying for them on that first phone call. And you're setting the tone for future meetings too. And that's also why I like to keep this phone call brief. I don't want it to be 40 minutes. I don't want it to be 10 minutes. Usually like 20, 25 minutes. I want them to know that this is a clean call. It's very efficient. It's all meat. It's not, appetizer and dessert. It's just straight to the point. I understand what you're looking for, and I'm here to take care of that for you. And like I said, we're gonna cover everything that they said in the prior stages, and this is where I'm also going to go into a very brief story about my business and who I am and why I've been good in the past for other clients. You may not have other clients to talk about, but it's good to tell a story about who you are very briefly and what your plans are moving forward. A lot of these employers, even at these higher levels, when you're pitching the CEOs and CTOs and directors and people like that, I think we're at the other end of that spectrum, of the sales spectrum, where those transactional sales where you're selling lollipops and you're just pushing the products out there where it's easy to just give somebody money. Those are very transactional sales. When you're talking to CEOs, they're very pointed and they're a lot smarter than the average buyer. And it's very, like I said, it's going to be very consultative. And you have to bring them to the solution, of course, but at the same time, the reason why if you shadow any account executive at Oracle or even a lot of these large companies, in their first pitches, they're always going to have some kind of a story, because at the end of the day, we're all still humans and people want to work with people that they remember and people that they kind of get attached to. And this is your part to be a little human. Talk about what you've been doing and what you've been doing to start to build your business, and say, this is the beginning of my business and it is my job to do the best possible job for you. You are going to get my 110% focus because my business depends on this. And as you can see from this call, I really have done my best to really truly understand what you're looking for. I've done my preparation. I know what the space is looking for, and talk about even the Facebook groups that you're in and maybe some of the mentors that you have, the other people that you're leaning on for best practices, and let them know how you are going to source these candidates and go above and beyond. And you should go above and beyond. You need to be working harder than you've ever worked for this first client, because if you do that for the first three and they know they can rely on you, you're going to keep yourself fed and you can continue to expand your client base. So I don't want to go too much deeper on that. I think that's plenty. But hopefully you close the client. I know it's too late now. Hopefully this helps other people. But be authentic, keep it short, do your preparation, and take notes, repeat those notes, let them know that you don't need to be told twice, and let them know that you understand what they're truly looking for and that you are the solution, and don't be anything that you're not. Tell your story. Be human, and create that connection, and you're going to be fine. You're going to get better at this the more that you do. The first one's always hard and it's nerve-wracking, but you'll be fine. So you're in the free Facebook group, so I'm not going to promote that. This isn't YouTube. But the website's coming out here, a little delay, but we're going to have all those free email templates. We're going to have software discounts, all this stuff. RecruiterRocket.io is coming out soon. So be ready for that. That's it.